You know, we don't want to mince words here. Drivers in the Central Plains are really urged to stay off the roads today. But if you absolutely have to venture out, like first responders, utility crews, do you know how to handle driving over ice?
That's a tough thing, right? Lauren Fix, a.k.a. our car coach, joins us now via Skype with what you need to know. Good morning. Good to see you, Lauren.
Good morning, Kelly and Nick. Yeah, it's really dangerous out there. Last weekend, I drove out on some really heavy snow. I had to be somewhere. And I can tell you, you're driving very slow. If you've got all-wheel drive and you actually own winter tires, it's a slight benefit. But I will tell you, if it's ice, you really have zero traction no matter what you're driving.
And never mind, before you even drive, getting into your car can be hard, too.
Yeah.
Oh, right. It can be very dangerous if you think, well, I'll just go out to my vehicle and get in. There could be ice underneath the snow that you might not see. And I can't tell you how many times I've heard of people open the door and find yourself underneath the car. It happens so quickly.
It really can. And of course, when you have that car that's just encased in ice, you've got a windshield that's covered with it. The ice might be thick. What's a safe way to clear your windshield?
Well, I've heard all kinds of ways to do it. I can tell you what absolutely not to do under any circumstances is pour hot water on it. What you can do is use an ice scraper. If you can get in your vehicle, you can start your vehicle, turn on the defrosters, turn the temperature up. You want to start melting it. It's going to take time. You have to give yourself patience. If you plan in advance and you know this is going to happen, you have an ice storm, and you happen to stop by an auto parts store, you can buy a de-icer spray that actually does work. But by no circumstances should we do anything crazy by hitting the windshield. It can only take so much impact. It will crack, and that'll be on you.
Then there are the inexperienced, Lauren, the young who just starting out, right? And people who may relocate to a colder area. What's your best advice for people driving in the icy conditions?
Well, obviously, it's stay home. If you don't have to go out, you're going to go meet some friends, just do it another time, reschedule. But if you're thinking, I really have to get to work, I'm a nurse, I'm a doctor, or a first responder of some type, the one thing you can do is when you can get in your vehicle and you have it running, when you start taking off to drive, start assessing the roadway. So if you see that there's snow on the side of the road and there's ice and you can see the ice, it shines at you. Put 2 tires into the snow on the side of the road or the gravel or dirt and 2 tires on the ice. It's the slowest way you can possibly drive because honestly, you should be home. But if you have to be out, you can drive like maybe 20 miles an hour and it's going to be a very slow road to hoe.
Great advice. Lauren Fix, thanks so much for joining us. We need to stay safe out there.
I especially like the advice, stay off the roads if you possibly can, because drivers across the Central Plains are being warned to stay off the roads, as a matter of fact.
Ahead on AMH.
So much, Janelle Klein reporting live in Kansas City, and you can see some of the traffic trying to get around, but that sidewalk, that tells a story. It doesn't take much.
Again, even some of the side streets that are not going to be treated will look like that. Now, if you absolutely have to drive this weekend, like first responders and utility crews will have to do, do you know how to handle driving on ice?
Well, Lauren Fix, a.k.a. the car coach, joins us via Skype with what you need to know right now. Lauren, always great to see you. So let's start with just getting into your car. What do you do if your car is iced in?
Well, I tell you, a lot of people walk up to their car. First off, watch the ice around the car, because I can't tell you how many times I've fallen or people have fallen. You can actually fall underneath the car and you can injure yourself. So be aware of that, because remember, it could be ice underneath the snow. But when you get to your vehicle, if you don't have locked de-icer with you, if you have a remote control to start the car, it's a great way to start your vehicle, because if you've got that auto starter, it can start melting some of the ice on the vehicle, because you may not be able to get into your own vehicle. So once that starts to happen, if you don't have an auto starter, you need that handy-dandy ice scraper. Now, I always recommend having a good ice scraper, because those ones that you get at the end of the wood stick, they just really don't do the job. You'll break that probably before you finish the window.
So let's talk about the windows and the windshield. I see a lot of people during ice and snowstorms, they put their windshield wipers off the windshield. What's a safe way to deal with clearing your windshield?
That's actually a great tip at night. Just take those windshield wipers and put them straight up, knowing you're going to have heavy snow or ice. That way you can clean the windshield off with an ice scraper and not have to worry about damaging the wiper blades, because 80% of your driving decisions are based on visibility. Like you've been talking about all day, it's important to clean off that windshield, and you're going to have to get a really good ice scraper. They make some good ones out there. You may have to go more than to that big box store to find a really good one. But you want to make sure to clear off all the ice on the windows, the windshield, even the taillights, because if people can't see you and you can't see them, that's when those accidents are happening.
All right, Lauren, what about hitting that slick spot while driving? We hear a lot of tips. Always want to reinforce it, though.
Well, obviously, if you don't have to go out, just stay home. That just makes the most sense. But if you have to go out, like you said, you're a utility worker, you're a first responder, you have to be somewhere, and you know that there's ice on the street. The best thing to do is, first off, no distractions. Just total 100% concentration on the road. And if you're thinking, oh boy, there's like no place to go, I see ice, 2 tires on the side of the road on that dirt or gravel or snow that's left, and 2 tires on ice. Go very, very slow. Put on your 4-ways if you have to, but you want to be very slow.
The key here is speed. Watch your speed. Lauren Fix,
Yes.
thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
I'm still much.
Hey, now, if you absolutely have to drive this weekend, like first responders and utility crews do you know how to handle driving on ice?
Well, we're happy to talk with Lauren Fix, a.k.a. the car coach, again, joining us via Skype with what we need to know right now. Again, a good place to start is actually just getting into your car. So what if you're frozen out of it?
Well, if you've got an automatic car starter, you're lucky. You can actually start your vehicle, let it warm up. Don't let it warm up for hours. The idea is let it warm up so it can start thawing that ice so you can chip it away. Again, a good ice scraper will be a good thing. And be really careful walking around that vehicle and cleaning the ice off and getting to it, because you could easily slip and fall and get hurt.
Okay, so we gotten in our car. Now, what do you do if you're perhaps out there driving and you hit a slick spot on the road?
Well, the first thing you want to remember is you got to watch what's going on. This is not a time to be drinking a cup of coffee or changing radio stations. You really need to be focused on the road 100%. Now, if you do happen to hit a little bit of ice, you're going to know there's no traction. I don't care what you're driving, if you've got snow tires or not, there is no traction for anybody. So the one thing you can do is, if you're aware you see that shiny spot on the road, start looking around you for dry spots, because you want to have 2 tires on the dry spot and 2 on the wet. So that'd be obviously side to side. So if the road is completely cleared off, like you've been showing, it's all ice. I've been seeing tons of your footage all day. Try to find a little bit of space on the side of the road. Maybe it's a little dirt or a little snow. So you can get some traction, especially if you have snow tires, and then go very slow, because these kind of things happen very quickly, and the only thing you can do is go as slow as you can.
And Lauren, I want to ask you too, safety-wise, you say you are stuck or you get in a fender bender. Do you stay in the car? Do you get out of the car?
That's where you really have to be aware of your surroundings. If you're on a busy road and you're in a fender bender and maybe you're damaged, first thing you want to do is put on your 4-ways and look in your rearview mirror, because if there's someone sliding into you, you'll be very grateful that you have your seatbelt on. And these are the kind of things that can lead to those big pileups that you show. So if there's no one around, you're on a side street, maybe you hit someone, make sure it's safe. And remember, when you get out of that vehicle, that first foot down, you could be finding yourself falling.
Yeah,
So be careful.
Great advice. That's the car coach, Lauren Fix. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Great things to keep in mind right now, because we are tracking Winter Storm Jupiter. It's dumping